Before the great fire, between the triangular shadows of the two trilunary statues. The only light came from the flames. Beyond the shadows, the boundaries of the hall disappeared into vast darkness. Strange to think that in less than 8 hours, the hall would be filled with sunlight and the acolytes of the town offering their morning devotions. Shiel would be leading the ceremony not far from where she lay now on her cloak, her skin glittering like crystal in the firelight. He felt detached and curious about the contrast, now that the flame was doused. He was emptied, mind and body and emotion. She opened her eyes and ran her gaze over him. "What a fine body you have, Jay, so young." He looked at his hands. They had rough pads on each finger and burn scars on the knuckles. So young, so soon. 4 months ago he had been in a schoolroom. Shiel saw and laid her own fine, soft hands over his. "It isn't fair, Jay, but it's the way things are." "Is this the way things are, Murai? Who else does this?" "You question things a lot. How many other people live normal lives on the surface, but do this when the doors are closed?" Her head lolled back towards the fire. She was not Murai now. "Not many. It finds itself out for most people. I'm unusual." "Why?" She rolled round quickly and looked directly at him. "You know very little, Jay. What do you think usually happens when people are close like this? Why do you think it's reserved for marriage and all the ceremony that goes with that?" "Tradition, I thought." "Reproduction, you fool. Sex makes babies. Didn't you know that?" "Yes, but not for you." "No, not for me. When I was a little girl, I was ill, and I had to be treated with strong chemicals and rays, and the doctors told my parents that I would never be a mother. At that time, I knew I should become a celibate Murai, because I would never marry. But I get so lonely, Jay. Lon may have been a great prophet, but he's a poor bedfellow. When I saw you, your eyes full of fire and hunger..." She reached out and traced her fingers on his cheek. There was a noise, far back in the room. Shiel snaked to her feet in a flash of movement, her face suddenly pale and tense with actual terror. She threw her cloak around her and stood still until the silence grew again. "There's nobody there," Jay said, but in a whisper. He did not move. "Shh!" There was no further sound. No more movement. Eventually, Shiel relaxed and wrapped her cloak more firmly around her body. "You should go." Accepting his dismissal, Jay climbed to his feet and pulled on his few discarded garments. The mystery, the distance, was crystallizing around the Murai again as he glanced back at her. "Shal, I'm sorry there's nothing I can do for you." He stopped at the door. "Why are you afraid?" "Because if they caught me, it would be the end. I told you earlier that I didn't want to come here, to this God-forsaken world. I was exiled because they guessed my proclivities, and they thought I would keep out of trouble out here. I was given a second chance, but if they ever find me out for sure..." She left the consequences unstated. He couldn't properly imagine them. Her face softened, and she came forward with an outstretched hand. There may be a way. I didn't want to say it, because it would mean sending you away. He said nothing, not wanting to appear to encourage something that she clearly did not like. You've learned a lot this last year, enough to pass as a religious acolyte. If you were to disappear from Anuel and reappear somewhere far away, Tezar itself perhaps, no one would know you. You might be taken in by one of the temples. You would have to change your name and to live an untruth. Could you really do that, Shal? Could he? He thought he was born without that essential moral element, the one that urged all men to speak the truth, and with the intellect to weave the elaborate dance that helped almost everyone to avoid it. He had never had any difficulty in telling outright lies, and he had, in early childhood, learned the power that gave him. Stay after class tomorrow night, she said. We'll talk about it further then. I have some robes you could take, and a spare copy of the Writings of Lon. If you do this, it would be good to go soon. There will be so many pilgrims in the capital on Tezar for the Festival of Stars. No one would question you closely. He tried to look solemn when he parted from her, but his heart was blazing with eagerness as he sneaked home along the unlit road.